So the other night I had a death dream that literally felt like a near-death experience. In this video, I want to share with you the things that I learned and took away from my death dream. So I'm going to give you just a rough outline of what the dream was about, because there's details that you wouldn't understand not knowing me on a more personal level. But basically, I left my home and I went on a long walk to a certain destination, then turned around and came back home. And when I got home, I was met by somebody that's close to me that was very despondent, and realized in the conversation with this person that I had died way back when I had left. And it had only seemed like a day to me, but I had actually been gone for years. Then I realized that the reason I was seeing this person was because that person had just recently died. And the dream was very long and extensive, and there was way more details to it, but I'm not going to go into all that because it's not necessary for this video. What I want to tell you about are the things that I took away that really lifted quite a weight off of me. The first thing that I learned from this dream was that we cannot move on into new life until we realize what has died. The part of us that has died, the relationships that have died, the things that we no longer believe in that have died, and let go of them. So here's a little background on me that will help you understand this a little more. 15 years ago, a little over 15 years ago, I started getting depressed. I started feeling depression, and I had never felt that before. I didn't even know what was going on with me, really. And 15 years later, I still find that even though I've overcome a great deal of it and I'm no longer in that real despondent place, or that place of complete apathy, it still has been a struggle in the mornings. I have to really work at getting myself revved up for the day, because automatically when I wake up, I feel pressed down. I feel that depression and that heaviness. And after I woke up from this dream, the interesting thing was that wasn't there. I felt more rested than I ever remembered feeling. Like, I forgot what it felt like to wake up refreshed like that. Even nights that I sleep well, I wake up in the morning and I think, I barely feel like I've slept. I feel tired. And I didn't feel like that. And the world looked brighter to me. It looked like I was almost looking through the lens of when I was really young, and everything was just bright and fresh. And I just felt really good that day, and I knew something had shifted in me majorly, and it had. I still feel it. I still feel like this lifting of that heaviness that I carried for well over 15 years. So the second thing that I realized, which it piggybacks on the first thing, is that depression is a result of not letting go, of not realizing what has died in our life and letting it go. And I know I'm repeating myself. However, the new point is depression results from that. It's like we have a death grip on things in our lives that we're afraid to lose, we're afraid to let go of, that we're fearful that if we don't hold on to this belief, something bad's going to happen to us. If we don't keep these connections, we'll be lost and alone. If we don't have certain ways of life that we continue in, bad things are, what life could possibly become way worse than it really is right now. All these things, we have all these beliefs, but whatever it is that you have in your life or that any of us have in our life, when we're holding on tightly to something that we are not really happy with, that is really died for us, that really isn't serving us in any way, when we're holding on to that, we're keeping a death grip. We're keeping ourselves in this death state without realizing that we've died. Like, we died to that. That's dead. The interesting thing about this dream, it has come at a time when there are some major shifts and transformations going on inside of me. And whenever you dream about death, or, death symbolically comes up in your life, it is about change. It is about old things dying, and so that new life can come. So the interesting thing about this dream is I've had, over my lifetime, repeated dreams of going out from my home and going on a walk or going on a drive, and I can never get back. Trying to get back, and I get lost, or it gets super dark out, or I get extremely exhausted and I can't continue on. And I have never, in all the years when I've had these dreams, even the same walk that I went on, I've had this dream, but I've never arrived at home. So that's what really riveted me and made me think, oh my gosh, because there's only one other time that I had a dream where a dream pattern that changed. And that was one when I was being pursued and chased by somebody, that I would have this over and over and over, where it was dark out and I'd be pursued and chased by, a psychopath of some sort. And I was trying to get away and knock on doors and get somebody to help me. And I'd go into a house that felt like a safe house, and then everybody in there would turn. And it was just like this constant. And in the course of going through therapy, my therapist had mentioned to me if I'd ever tried to challenge that. And through the course of therapy, I came upon a dream where I was being pursued like this again, but I turned around and I pushed my pursuer. And it was like I just stood up to it. And I never had those dreams again. They went away. So it was, to me, a huge pivotal time in my life that I realized I wasn't running afraid anymore. I wasn't scared like I had been for so many years of my life. So to have a dream, this is only the second time that I can recall having a pattern that is repeated over and over and over, suddenly take a different turn. I arrived home again. I had no problems walking all the way home and getting home. And I walked in the door and had a conversation with somebody before all of a sudden this realization hit me from something that they said, that I'd been gone for a long time. And then I was like, oh my God. And then after that, I realized I'm dead. I died. And then I was like, well, if you can see me, how come you can see me? And then I realized that that person had died too, but they had not come to the realization that they had died as well. It was very much like a near-death experience. That's all I could say. It was very intense. It was very real. It shifted something in me really in a very deep way. So the third thing that it showed me was that when we wake up, what I realize is I'm waking up more and more to who I truly am on the inside, which is the work that I do. I work toward freeing people into their authenticity. And that's a process, because you have to first learn how to really, truly love yourself, how to advocate for yourself, how to have boundaries. There's just such a process, and I've been through this process, and I am still working on things within my own journey. And I realized that a lot of this was showing me, hey, you have stepped into who you are, and you don't even realize that the old has completely died. It's been gone for a long time. And so I realized that in order to truly move on fully and to be able to shake that depression and shake that heaviness, is to realize that all that's gone now. It's dead. And you have a new life. It's time to move on. I did realize when I evaluated my dream and did some journaling around it that you can't move on until you realize you're dead. And as long as you continue to cling to what is dead, you have to say, oh, that's gone now. and you have to be willing to move on. Some people that have had near-death experiences have said that there is a breaking, even of at some point you have to break with the person, the ego person that you have here, and that there can be a grief process and a challenge to do that, of breaking. And that's why supposedly a lot of people meet us on the other side in the form that we knew them here, because it takes time to acclimate to the idea that you're leaving this identity of who you are. You're leaving that behind, and to let go of that. That's not just in physical death, that is in death, period. We live in cycles of life. And this video that I'm making right now, every word I say ends up in the past. We are constantly moving. It's a constantly moving reality. And whether we like it or not, things evolve, things change, and we have to, at some point, let go. Whether it's letting go of an old relationship that is dead and has died a long time ago, and we're just trying to cling to it and hold on to it for reasons unknown. Because we're afraid of not having anything else. When you die, that's one of the fears about death, because we don't fully or really know. We have beliefs and we hear stories and we hope but we don't really know. And so it's kind of a scary step to take. But we can't move on unless we're willing to take that step and let go. And sometimes we're done with the life that we've been living. We're done. We're done with the person that we were. We're done with the beliefs that we once had. We've evolved past them. Let go of them. Don't hold on to them because you're afraid if you don't believe that, something bad will happen to you, or you'll lose a connection with somebody or a group of people that you have a connection to. Don't be afraid to let go of a relationship that is just dragging you down and making you, all those things we cling to is why we wake up in the morning heavy, because we're waking up dead. We're waking up dead instead of realizing, oh, I died, but now I'm stepping into new life and I can completely let go of the old. I'm curious if you've ever had a death dream that's similar, or that you learned something from, or even a near-death experience. I'd love to hear about it down in the comments. If this has been helpful for you, or if you've enjoyed this video, please take a quick second to give it a thumbs up, and feel free to share it as well. I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.